Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lizard Brains podcast. I'm your host, DJ Alessandrini. I'm joined by the other host, Tom McGorman. Tom, how's it going?
Oh, did I get a raise? Did I get an upgrade?
Oh, raised.
The other host.
The other host.
I got a promotion. Burr, 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 burr.
Tom's been promoted to host. Your Roadcaster Pro is in the mail.
I'm never gonna learn how to use that thing. Damn.
You'll figure it out.
Oh,
You'll
but I
figure
get
it
to do
out.
all my own sound effects if I get my own Roadcaster.
I mean, you could do your own sound effects in Discord because they do have that option.
The podcast doesn't need that.
No, it really doesn't. Can you imagine how many air horns we would hear if Tom could do the?
No, it would be a bunch of obscure, like it would range somewhere from like Vine references back to like 80s movies or something. Like it would kind of span that
You would
for
lose
you wouldn't
everyone.
get any of them.
No, I wouldn't get
Yeah.
any of them. Like, absolutely
Yeah.
0 of them. So, how's it going, Tom?
I'm good. How about you? We're recording well, we're quick. I'm good because we're recording yet again on another beautiful day. I feel like I got that spring in my step. Whoa, spring in my step. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Pretty good. How about you?
We had to say goodbye to Kitty. I don't know if I think I talked about that last episode.
You did at the end. So
Yeah,
people don't listen all the way to the end.
right. So, we had to say goodbye to our longtime cat. It was a roller coaster, Tom. I can't remember exactly what day we recorded on, but I think it was we went to the vet and got bad news, right?
Yeah. I,
I think that's what happened.
I think we recorded Wednesday. You had bad news by the time we recorded, and you weren't sure if you were going to go to motorsports this weekend, but I thought you did, right?
I did, yeah. But on Monday the cat was acting weird. Tuesday we went to the vet. Wednesday we went to like a specialist to see if it was indeed cancer. Thursday we found out it was cancer. Was told that uh that our long time it was our favorite cat. That she had a month or two to live, and me and Christine were really trying to figure that out. But but Thursday night we were like, you know what, we're gonna make Kitty's last month like the best month of her life. So we went out and got a bunch of treats and toys, and she had so much fun that night. She was purring so much, and she was playing with all her toys, and she was eating treats, and she was like a little purr machine. And something happened on Friday. She vomited, and then she just wasn't the same after that. And we went and got her some anti nausea, like an injection, from the vet, and they told us that it would make her sleepy. And so we thought she was just being real sleepy from the nausea. And at some point, we realized something was wrong. And we rushed to the vet, but she was gone. So
Mm. Sorry, man.
yeah, it was really tough. Still tough. Like grief works in it's a different journey for everyone. Just like much like their motorsports journey, but it comes in waves. And honestly, the Discord, the Lizard Brains Discord, has been you guys have been awesome. I asked for a bunch of animal pictures in the Discord, and that's the most popular channel in the Discord. So screw race cars, everyone. Apparently we're just an animal podcast now. So uh
It's been 3 days straight of pictures of cats, dogs, and the occasional bird. I don't
it,
think we had anything but those 3. I
somebody
don't
get a
remember any lizards
somebody get a
or
lizard in there.
rabbits
This
or
is the Lizard Brains podcast after all. Come on.
we're the lizards.
People just start posting pictures of us in the wild.
That was the best idea though, because it made my weekend, and I I didn't need it the way you needed it, so I can only imagine how that was, like, very helpful.
Yeah,
And everyone's get sends hugs from Kitty, for Kitty, for you guys.
yeah, and really we both appreciate that. I have to thank Ryan Lorman, who's Spicy Cat in the Discord. He's the one that was brought up the idea of people posting animal pictures because that made him and his significant other feel better when they had to say goodbye to one of their animal family members. And I was like, you know what, I love that idea. And it was Kitty wasn't even gone by then. We were still just grappling with the news that we were gonna have to say goodbye to her at some point in the future. And and then things went south and the pictures kept pouring in, and yeah, honestly, you guys helped a lot. Like me and Christine both went through and looked at every single one of those pictures, and yeah, it did feel better that there's plenty of animals out there getting love, and yeah, it was just it was an emotional weekend, Tom. We were supposed to go hiking on Saturday, but instead we kind of just lounged around the house all day Saturday. We said goodbye to Kitty on Friday, and I was bound and determined because of my one lap goal of doing 10 events that I was still going to drive something that weekend. So I was going to drive down to Bristol, and me and Christine, we weren't alone for like that whole time. And I left, wondered if she wanted to come along, but she had like a birthday party that she wanted to go to. And I left. And then the moment we were both just alone in our own thoughts, it was a terrible idea. So she called me and she's like, "You need to come back and get me." So I turned around. I was already on the way, turned around, picked her up. And then she was just my companion for the weekend when we went down to Bristol and autocrossed. So, because we just, at that point in time, we just couldn't be alone. It was still too much.
Hang on, did you drive all the way there on Saturday night?
Yeah. And then we autocrossed and then I drove home. I'm trying to get those
How far
10
is that?
like 7 hours. I'm trying to get those. It's the longest I've ever went for a local, and I might be willing to do more because I think I'm gonna end up at 9 weekends before 1 lap, uh, and my goal was 10, so I'm trying to find an extra weekend. I might go to, like, a track day at Summit next weekend, but that means I need to get the FRS kinda, like, ready to go do track stuff. That might be what I end up doing this weekend is like trying to get the car ready to just so I can figure out that because I'm only gonna have 9 weekends at this point. That's like on the books.
Yeah, and we'll put a call out at the beginning of the episode. If anyone knows an event this weekend,
Yes,
including NCM Champ Car or anything in that, like, what, 5 to 7 hour radius of Cleveland,
I will.
tell DJ, he'll
I
be
will go
there.
far. It can be an autocross event. I just need to compete in a car or even just drive a car. That's it. It could be the crappiest chump car. It could be like this thing freaking sucks. Let's just see what DJ would do in it for an hour. That because that's how long it lasts on fuel. I will drive 7 hours just to drive that car around in circles for an hour, even if it sucks. It doesn't have to be a nice car. It just has to be a car.
Just please do not go spend $3,000 to do a stint.
I'm not.
I don't care what car it is. Don't do that. Thank you.
I'm not. No, I don't have $3,000 to spend on it. If I had $3,000 to
Yeah,
spend,
but I saw you putting feelers out to, like, maybe you could split it or something. I was like,
well,
"You're better off
because
staying
I'm
home." What did I say? Staying
yeah.
home doing off ramps into Bolt.
I'm
Save
trying.
way more money.
Look, Spec E46. I do kind of wonder what those drive like. I have never driven one, so I was a little curious because I'm like, I could see me doing some Spec E46 racing at some point in the future because as we discussed in the podcast, I think I'm more aligned to like a spec class just because it's like a driver versus driver kind of thing. Tom seems to be a little bit more interested in like the ebb and flow of cars that are different from each other. Uh,
Just like interesting cars
yeah, you like interesting cars. The car is literally not important. It doesn't need to be interesting. So for me,
to drive. They need to be interesting to drive to me. Sorry,
mm,
should clarify.
yeah, it can't be like a snooze fest to drive, like like a Honda Fit or something. Oh, sorry guys.
I I was literally thinking, like, I wouldn't do B-Spec again. That's so
Oh,
rude.
dang it.
Sorry, Sunday
Um,
Cup friends and B-Spec friends. Phil says I'm car curious. Yeah, I mean, I was accused of being a car guy, so I guess that's my 2025 narrative.
wait, when were you remind me how this went down?
I was at the Miami event, and I was talking to the guy about driving the Audi R8 prototype, and I was like, "I don't know, I might wanna drive that, like, '68 Corvette," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, so you're a car guy."
He's
And
like
I was like, "Oh, if the if your goal was to shoot an arrow through my heart,
uh
bullseye."
he has no idea how much of an insult that is to you because obviously
Yeah,
that
no
person
clue.
does
I
not
met him
listen to
that
the
day.
podcast. Yeah. What did you do this weekend? I have a whole spiel on the autocross weekend I had, but I'm curious what your weekend was.
Oh, mine's shorter, yeah. I had another pretty wholesome, fun weekend. I actually you know this guy? His name is Eric Coutil. You know him?
Yeah, did you hang out with Eric this weekend?
Dude, we went to a board game bar, and it was very fun. I hung out with Eric and Leo, and Chandler and their friend Roy, who I've met It's my second time meeting Roy. He's got another white Civic sedan like Eric. And Leo's girlfriend and the six of us went and played board games on Friday night. And then Saturday night, I went and played bingo. Wait, didn't don't you hate bingo?
I hate bingo. Did you have fun?
I didn't really have fun because they drug it out. They were trying to like raise money for a high school, so I went with my cousins. But the activity of searching for the numbers on the sheet, I kind of liked that.
No way, dude. That was making my brain hurt. Oh, I hated that so much, Tom.
I love the simple tasks that mean nothing. Like one summer, I worked I worked in this plant where I had to box footballs. You know those like little Nerf footballs that are like half scale.
Yeah.
I had to like wrap the box around the ball for like 6 hours a day. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm simple, but I love shit like that.
Okay.
So, going around the little sheet and like just pump like doing the little dot on the little numbers. I like that. I didn't win anything.
I would have like 8 sheets in front of me because I'm like, well, at least occupies my brain space. Like I have to try to keep track of
Yeah.
all of this. Like it felt like the skill was finding the numbers fast enough. But then I realized there's no rhyme or reason to like finding the numbers unless you're just memorizing each card, which is kind of impossible. So then
Yeah.
it was just searching the whole time. Tom, I hated it. I tried to figure out a way to make
Yeah.
it fun, and I just couldn't figure out how to make bingo fun.
I would never do it again, but I did have to share that the little activity of
I would never
Well,
do it again, Tom says.
I kinda had fun. It was like, maybe I just need to pick coloring back up or something because it was satisfying to me.
I think you could do that. I think you'd find coloring fun.
And then the only other thing is, I read Ready Player One this week. You ever heard that book?
The whole book?
Yes, the whole book.
Dude, I love that book. That book's awesome. Wasn't it awesome?
That book is awesome. We're not doing a book club, guys, but real quick, if you've never read the book, you're not a book person and you've never seen the movie's totally worth it. But if you've seen the movie and you're a book person, they're completely different. And I really appreciated that because they just like made a different movie to tell the same story.
Mhm.
But yeah, I read the book. And then I also read Animal Farm, which is a crazy book to read right now. but
I
but
I
it was
still
also
need
very good.
I still need to read Animal Farm. I've actually never read that.
Yeah. That was my week.
Maybe
All right,
we
tell me
should
about
do
the
a book
autocross.
club. Lizard Brains book club? What's next, Tom?
I don't want to formalize I'm just going to let it be my little
It
thing
doesn't
as it's nice and I just sit outside.
Okay, it doesn't
Maybe I'll
have
start
to
a channel and I can
Yeah,
talk about what I read.
exactly, exactly. I want Tom to start a channel in the Discord about, like, whatever book he's currently reading, and then we can jump on board, and we can also read the same book and have conversations with Tom about the book in the Discord channel. How does that sound?
Deal.
It doesn't have
I'll
to be
start
an
it.
episode every time or whatever. This isn't a book podcast. But if we do come across something that's relevant that we think the listeners of the podcast would enjoy, then maybe we'll talk about it.
Deal.
Sound good?
I do have a book queued up. Do you know who Lee Iacocca is? I probably said his name wrong. Iacocca.
Nope.
He was a big exec at the Big Three. I think he designed or mainstreamed the Mustang, and then worked for Chrysler and helped invent the minivan. I have his autobiography for my family. Iacocca. Thank you.
I'm so
Ford and Chrysler. Yeah, I got it right.
dude.
So yeah, I'm gonna
I'm
read
like,
maybe
nope.
his little autobiography next.
Tom, I'm like, nope, never heard of that person before. The whole chat blows up. This is how you say his name. This is where he was. I'm like, I
Our
had no
audience is so
idea.
smart. They've already read all these books.
I had no idea who these people were. And then all of a sudden, it's just everyone else is like correcting you on the pronunciation and saying
Yes.
where he came from, where he was born.
Guys, this is the kind of car culture or car guy quiz I want to take. Like it needs to be.
No, it needs to be.
Remember how we took the car guy quizzes?
Yeah,
I
no,
need to be
it needs
stumped.
to be. It needs to be like car guy shit. Like, what does Mopar stand for?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that's what I got coming up next. How was your autocross?
All right. So it was the first event of the year for Eastern Tennessee region. And my God, I got so many reruns. Everyone was
Yeah.
rusty. Everyone was rusty. Like course workers were rusty. The timing equipment was rusty. But so I should have gotten 4 or 5 runs, and I ended up getting like 8 or 9 runs.
Oh yeah.
I did my first run, and then I right on the end, there was a worker in the way, so I like had to get on the brakes. Or there was a cone down or something, whatever. And then I did my rerun like 5 minutes later, and then there was another worker or cone down or something like that in the way. And so by the time I got one run on the board, like a scored run, that was the third time I've seen the course. So I was in the lead.
Crazy. Yeah.
um,
And you never look back?
no, I got pipped on the last run. I coned my last run, and you know what? I'm glad I got that many runs because I was like starting to have something click for me. And it's this yeah. When I'm on a racetrack, I'll do things where I like try to expand my bandwidth. Like as I'm driving, I'll like try to like take in more information that's happening around me. And I normally do that with like breaths. Like a breath in will be like, okay, this is expanding my data input, right? Essentially. And so I got so many runs that I was like, well, I'm gonna try that in autocross, and it was freaking working. Like I was doing
What's an example?
so like Just just focusing on the amount of information that I'm able to take in, through my eyes, mostly because those are kind of important to drive a car, uh, and, like, focusing on the right thing, just it felt like it just gave me more bandwidth for, like, the rest of it, and, uh, I was really focusing on the thing that we've talked about last year that I was trying to, like, turn into a habit, but I don't think I ever, like, quite did. But I'm bound and determined to make that just a thing that I do, which is like the Tom Vision thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we did a like
Mhm.
a recap of a school that we that me and Tom did uh last year, just like search autocross school or something in the like for the episodes. But basically, when you're walking the course, you you identify where you're gonna have time to really get your eyes, like, through all the next elements and, like, just see as far ahead as possible. And there was a couple instances on this course, while they looked very busy with cones, the placement of the car wasn't, like, that tough. So I, like, recognized these zones on my walks of, like, places that I can really, like, get my eyes out. And that was helping a lot. It's still not a habit. I still have to think about it a lot while like, during the run. It's not just something that I'm doing, but I'm starting to notice that it's coming easier and easier. And I think once that's just a habit and it's not something that I have to think about, I think I'm going to be a much stronger autocrosser. Because I think I'm a stronger track driver than autocrosser, which is kind of like it's kind of crazy to me because I started in autocross and I've never kind of really stopped. Uh, but I think I'm just stronger. Like I think I'm just stronger on a racetrack, and I'm trying to figure out, like,
What
what
makes
that
you say
is.
that?
Just, like, results and, like, people that that, like, I'll
Uh,
beat on a racetrack that they'll crush me in an autocross. Like, people I will
As DJ
consistent
just use the results sheet to decide no, I'm kidding.
No, but, like, results in
No, I think
relative
that's
to other
because
people.
you always put yourself in bloodbaths in autocross, and you don't necessarily pick where you go in road course, you just take the opportunities.
I I
If you
s
were
I see that, but there's specific people that I'm pretty confident I would beat on a racetrack, but in an autocross, I it would be it would be really tough. Like, I would have to, like, really put some good runs together to actually beat them.
name them.
No,
No, I'm
I
kidding.
can't do that.
Yeah. Just look up that autocross driver database. No, I think that's interesting. I I'm pretty aware of like the most of my results are in maybe like softer places, especially autocross. So I think I look a little bit more crazy with results than someone like you who's always in a bloodbath. And I know that because I came from 2011, 2012, even 2010 through 2012 when STS was like a really big class. Did we just talk about this?
Yeah, last week you were talking about,
Thought so.
STS being really
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. And as soon as I got out of that bloodbath, like it was softer a lot of places,
Yeah,
especially when you get into builders classes, which is where I headed from there. So
yep. I totally get that, and also, like, a slower car, there's, like, less of a way to separate
yeah,
yourself, stuff like that. I totally get
totally.
that, but, yeah, it's just, I feel more confident on a racetrack as well than in, like, in an autocross setting as well. I just feel like I have more of a bearing of what happens, like the execution of the lap opposed to the execution of the autocross run.
I feel like you're gonna have an epiphany of that creates like your final form autocrosser.
Hopefully, I'm working
And I
on it.
think mine was when I stopped thinking of the course as cones and started thinking of the course as the route through them, which sounds really dumb as I say that out loud. But for the first like 5 years, I thought of the course as like, well, those are the cones that I need to get around. And I shifted the mentality towards like I am following this route through a course. And as long as I drive that route the best that I can, the cones don't even matter.
I think
That was like the last autocross epiphany I had
yeah,
in my mind.
I think I think everyone's journey is gonna be a little bit different. So, like, your epiphany that,
Totally.
like, led you, like, to this, like, next, like, frontier of, like, autocross, like, skill level. I that your, like, last aha could definitely be a bunch of other people's. I don't necessarily think that's going to be mine. I don't know what mine will
No,
actually be. It could
I
very
can't
well
wait.
be it could very well be the same thing. It could just be a bunch of little stuff and I never have an aha, and then at just one point I'm like, "Oh, top packs at nationals. How did that happen?" You know what I mean? Like I just like I don't know if I feel like the epiphanies are few and far between. For me it seems like it's always just a bunch of little stuff that adds up and then one day I just like have some result that I've always been pushing for but wasn't necessarily noticing how close I was getting to it. Next thing you know, I just have it and I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Yep.
I feel like that's most of how my journey has went. Um, but the vision thing, because there's let me elaborate a little bit more. When I'm on a racetrack, I feel really relaxed. I feel like at peace, like almost like I'm like meditating almost. Like my heart rate says something else. If you've been following the heart rate data channel, like my heart rate's going nuts, but I don't feel frantic or anything. I feel fine. I feel I feel great. In autocross, because the pace is so much faster, I don't find myself, um, I don't find my, yeah, Peter said, "It's like Neo from The Matrix." When you realize there are no cones, just a path. Um, that should be a T-shirt. Um, so what would that T-shirt even look like? Would it be like
I've never seen The Matrix all the way through, so I'm not sure how to make a reference.
it would be like somebody wearing like a driver suit and a helmet, like dodging cones like they're bullets with like the little
There you
ripples of
go.
like stuff behind the cones.
Dodging cones as the bullets.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna make that
that's got
happen.
to be a
Is that
thing.
yes, I love it.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Sorry. The vision thing that you were talking about using the downtime on the course.
So there's like this certain relaxed state that I feel like it's like a elevated relaxed state if that makes any sense. And I
Yeah.
felt like I finally tapped into that for like that last run, but I coned it. But like that last run I did, if I did that last run last year, I think I would have won nationals. Even on just one day cuz like it was just so if it was iRacing, I would have heard the tires making the perfect noise through the entire run. Like I would like the car was just floating beautifully like the whole time and it didn't feel like there was any wasted time or any wasted space. It felt like I moved the weight like really well and I found myself at peace when I was doing the run. Like it was just I was so purely focused on just the execution of what I wanted to do that run that everything else kind of melted away. And I think I've kind of lost track of that over the last couple of years, where the execution of what I'm doing, I'm trying to focus on it, but after that run, I realized, oh crap, I'm actually not focusing on that as much as I should be. Like I still have like other things in my brain when those should be cleaned out and just replaced with just the execution of what I'm trying to do in that run. It's like a premeditated plan that I am executing during the run, and I think I've kind of lost track of that. So I really, it sucks to get that like almost. I just talked about I'm not getting epiphanies, but it sucks to get like an epiphany like that, and then the event's over, and I can't like play around with that idea or that feeling or whatever. So that's why I was really, really trying to drive something this weekend, so I could
Yeah.
keep playing around with this like completely lost in the task at hand. Uh, because the more I do it, the more it's gonna those pathways in my brain are gonna be better, like cleared out, and it'll be easier to fall into that. Um, and I don't have any events for like the next 2 weeks that I know of. There's like an HPD like 2 weeks from now. But I couldn't find any autocrosses or anything like that. So guys, if you know of any events, like I'm desperately trying to drive right now. So
I want to go back to something you said. You said that you were trying to focus on being singularly focused on the task at hand, and you realized you weren't. Is that right?
yeah, basically once I was fully enveloped in the task, it realized how much I wasn't before when I thought I was.
But what was the difference? Like, what kind of things were going on? Was it like a mental noise that you weren't quieting, or what?
I think
I'm
I
a
th-
little perplexed.
yeah, I think there was like some mental noise of what just happened, like clouding what's happening in front of me.
Would you say it's a difference in like I need to make sure I don't do that again instead of I need to make sure I do this time?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So that was living
Oh,
somewhere in my brain, and I didn't even notice it until I was purely focused on just the happening right now, like being 100% present. And that was like such a change in just the level of execution and the accuracy that I was able to get, and the smoothness and the vision and everything just felt like it was just easier.
I do feel like that happens on road course way less, but that's a perfect example for autocross. If I'm sitting in the paddock and I'm like rethinking through my run, that was an old Tom move to sit there and be like, I either need to go through that fallen flat but better, or I need to not mess that one thing up, or all I need to do is just not hit that one cone. That was like my thing.
I wouldn't say
And when I flipped it,
I
go
I,
ahead.
w- I wouldn't say it was more like I would leave an element and go, I backsided that cone too much or whatever. Like I'm like troubleshooting it
Oh,
for
oh,
like the next time around instead of like
sure.
just focusing on the thing right now and then think about it after the run. Like, okay, what could have went better? Like after I finish the run. Like I'm already troubleshooting what I need to do better next time, but I'm still doing the run.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. When I, yeah, I think I've gotten really good when that happens. It's just like, nah, like as it's happening, that was a nah. No, we're gonna fix that
Yeah.
next time.
I like
And then I
that.
just like count the
Nah.
nahs at the end.
Yeah. You're like,
that
how
that
many
wasn't it, bro.
yeah,
You
how
know
many
that
nyas did I have? Let's clean up the nyas.
kinda. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's a good thing to pay attention to. Have you found yourself be able to control that? That's tough.
No, I don't know. That's why I wanna drive so I can figure that
Oh yeah.
out. So, Brandon Anderson
All right.
just
Well,
posted a thing, Tennessee region. Isn't that what I just went to?
no,
That
Middle Tennessee is probably way further west than where you were,
okay.
but that's just a
I'll
guess.
check it
Oh
out.
no. Yeah, I don't know.
Brandon, how
This
long of a
Discord's gonna
drive is
find you
that?
something to drive this
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
What did you ask?
I was asking, 8-ish. Oof. Okay, that's like encroaching on the limit, but you know what, Brandon? I might do that. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you for posting that. It'll be
Is there
7-ish
anything else from this
if I
weekend?
practice 1 lap highway driving.
Yeah.
Uh, no, that was about it. I mean, I had a great time with, Peter. Me and Peter, Peter Schnorr. That's who we were autocrossing with, and yeah, we had a good time this weekend. So, well, at least that event.
Right. That's good. Well, we were considering, well, not considering, we were expecting maybe to have a guest today, but he's a little bit late. So we're
He
gonna have to
is.
fill in the time, huh?
Yeah, we could. Do you want to take a question, Tom?
Yeah. Do you have a question for me?
Do I have a question for you? Oh, hold
Okay.
on. uh, I'm just going to the pin messages in our thing and scrolling to the nope, going to the top. Oh wow, these are from February. We really need to clean these out at some point.
We might have skipped them.
Maybe. I'm just gonna read them. This is risky. We're just
Okay.
going into it. All right. Danny Corliss wrote in February. I'm burned out from missing events because I'm always fixing my cars. What's the most realistic path to finding opportunities? What? You don't want to do this one?
There's a boo. I know I don't like fixing cars.
Oh, okay.
Boo.
The mic cut out your boo for some reason, so I just saw you flailing. I saw Tom flailing in the camera, and I was like, "Do we not want to read this one? What's at the end of this?" Anyways, back to Danny's question here. Um, What is a realistic path to finding opportunities to co-drive to help fill my schedule? It doesn't feel appropriate to go around asking. I guess the best place to start is to just meet as many people as I can and express interest question mark. Maybe we need a co-driver matchmaking app, which honestly isn't the worst idea ever.
This is the second or third time that's come up on this podcast is to have like a matchmaking like a Tolos. Yeah, like a Tolos or a Turo
Yeah. Like
for
if you're
co-drives.
open for co-drives, you would just like post like what the car is, what events you're going to, what like the
Okay, so
stipulations
the
are.
question is, yeah, I love that idea. That could just be on this Discord though. That's what we said last time. I so the question boils down to how do you find co-drives?
Yeah. This is much easier in autocross, and I almost think like that's the right place to start. Be-
Yeah, guys, co-drives aren't really a thing at track days. That's kind of a little bit of a misinterpretation, I think, from the last like 10 years that's kind of come along because you can co-drive technically an SCCA time trial, which is sort of like you can co-drive in some other things here and there, but they're behind barriers. I would say track driving from SCCA time trial is the first thing that lets you really do that on track. But you really need to be very aware and like careful of the circumstances when you're doing track stuff. Like I don't take driving other people's cars on track lightly now, let alone 15 years ago when I got to drive my first someone else's car on a racetrack. So be very respectful of people's like limitations when you're talking track stuff. But for autocross co-drives to me are like an implied, like that should be like part of the whole system. And all you have to do is make sure that you're at the right events for it, which typically means the events that are either test and tunes or include fun runs and meet people and be nice to people. Like I was co-driving 5, 6, 7 cars a year within my first year and a half of autocross because I met people and went to the events that had test and tunes or had fun runs. And by the end, I had driven a BMW Z4 and a Honda Civic that had won a national tour and a Corvette and a in my first year. So to me, that's where the co-drive culture comes in. I think the track day co-drive culture, like everybody needs to be very aware of the realities behind that. And I think it's gotten a little soft maybe in the last like 2 or 3 years. Would you agree with that? People are just like, oh yeah, co-driving on a racetrack's part of it.
Yeah. Well, I think we live in a different world, honestly, Tom. I don't think co-driving on racetracks is normal. I think
Mm-mm.
it only exists in SCCA time trials is because a lot of people from autocross have come over and like Tom was saying, co-drives in autocross is like just part of it.
Yeah.
Also on track, there's not a whole lot of time to co-drive a car anyways. Unless it's like a time trial kind of thing because like for example, time trial like SCCA time trials really only doing like a lap or two and then you come in. It's not like you can go
Yeah.
out there and do 20 minutes of laps and then hand the car off to somebody else and then they go out and do 20 minutes of laps and like especially if you're like trying to get a lap time because the car's like burned down after like 20 minutes. It needs some time for the tires to cool down, everything to cool down, and then it can actually go like, you know, set lap times again. Um, but I, if you're looking to supplement the events that you're able to do, uh, autocross, we've already talked about how much you can learn from it. Uh, go to events, even if it's in something stupid, like get a rental car if you have like a truck, because you need to participate in it before anybody's going to just like let you drive their thing. It doesn't matter how great of a driver you are. You have to go to events, meet people, make friends, be friendly, show that you're human. If it's just a name that nobody's ever met or interacted with, asking for co-drives, you're not going to get any hits because nobody knows who you
Or
are.
yeah, and if you're not human, I'm not going to let you drive my car.
Well,
Kidding. The way you said that was funny. Show them that you're a human. Yeah, no, and also let people drive your car. Like when I had a Miata, I let everybody drive it because it was whatever. That was like my oh, I have to share too moment.
yeah. Yeah, that as well. When I got an ND Miata in 2017, I think I only did a handful of events that didn't have a co-driver because I was learning so much from having a co-driver. Both in terms of like how to help them, but also them helping me. Like it was a collaborative effort of
Yeah.
gaining speed. And even before I got that Miata, I was inviting people to drive my S2000 with me because I wanted to get better and faster. Uh, so I think if you're just starting off on your little journey, um, you're probably you're probably gonna have to be giving out more co-drives than you would get. But again, if you're nice and you make friends, and you will make friends, uh, then like that's where co-drives come from, is from people that you know. Most of the time. Most of the time, the person that you're driving with, you've met and hung out and had laughs with that person.
Speaking of co-drives, our friend Bill in the live chat asked, I'm co-driving with DJ in Vegas at the second Pro Solo. Will we finish one too? And why will we become super best friends?
Where is
Is that
this?
true? Are you going out to Vegas?
Oh yeah, Bill Zur. Yeah, I'm driving in Elantra N in Vegas for the Vegas Pro Solo.
Cool. Are you guys going to become super best friends? It sounds like it.
Depends if he's staying in my hotel room or not.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Christine will be there, Bill. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, Bill, I will guarantee you DJ will be very helpful and will also make you have the best time that you've had at an event, most likely. So
it,
even if you're not bestest friends, because then we'd have to fight, then you will have a great time.
it's not even Bill's car.
Oh, are you co-driving with someone else in someone else's car?
Yeah.
Even better. That's how I did my first tour.
Yeah.
It was just someone else had a car they weren't using.
I put out some feelers for the Vegas Pro because I was like, I kind of want to do the Pro Solo finale this year in D Street. So I like started putting out some feelers of like events that I could like fly to, because I don't think there's going to be enough in like the local vicinity. So I'm going to have to fly to one of them. Like one's during one lap and then one's during my wedding. They're like the local-ish ones. So I have to fly to at least. I think I have to fly to the next two. I can do the Toledo one because you have to do three, right, to qualify for the finale or something. I forget how it works, but my brain says I have to do three, so I'm gonna try to do three. Um, so I'm gonna have to fly to uh that one, and then I think I'm gonna try to do Packwood as well. But I haven't found a D Street drive for that one yet. But yeah. So I was like, well, okay, well I'm gonna put out some feelers and see if I can uh figure out a way to do this. So
That'd be cool.
I don't know what car I would
All right, this one's
drive in the finale, but because I don't know, I haven't worked that out with Peter yet. Hey, Peter, this is where you're finding out my plans for the year. He's in the
Yeah.
audience.
You guys will make it happen if you want it to happen. You tow his car out for him and he flies and you pay for it or something. I don't know.
Our guest is here.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
I wondered if we got our time zones mixed up.
Wait, where did
All
he
right, how are
go?
we
He
gonna
was
handle
just
this?
here. He was just here. I swear he's messing with us. This is what we
Uh-oh.
get for messing with our guests for like at least it's been like 2 years actually. So
Yeah.
oh, Peter says he's planning on doing the
We've been messing.
pro finale, so that works.
It works itself out.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get this guest. Well, we've been talking about having this guest on for 2 years, and then we didn't really. He's not really a guest in the sense of like we're going to interview him. We're just going to hang out. So when he gets it figured out, we'll get him in here. In the meantime, I'm going to ask you this real question from Tim Bruschi. I asked this question because it's a known thing in dog training, and the Power of Habit book reminded me of it from a few weeks ago. Because agility dogs, aka autocross dogs, do exactly what the Buccaneer players were trained to do by watching the other players' feet and body positions to anticipate what they were going to do. What role does latent learning play in learning and improving a skill like driving? And how can we utilize it whenever possible? And I had to Google what latent learning was. It's a type of learning that occurs without obvious reinforcement and is not immediately observable. I don't
So
think I understand really what that means. Do you understand what that means?
no, sorry, I was reading text from our potential guest, and it was
Okay.
the time that he was giving me was Central, and we're
That's what
Eastern.
I figured happened.
Yeah, so it's not gonna work.
All right, so we got a questions podcast happening. Everyone just like we originally planned, and everything's going exactly as we hoped.
This is the
Kidding, kidding.
plan.
So the question was basically, what role does latent learning, which is a type of learning that occurs without obvious reinforcement, is not immediately observable in a skill like driving, and how can we utilize it whenever possible? And I don't really know what that means. Subconscious process that involves retaining information that may not be used until later. Oh, it clicked. You want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
So he's in the habit of in the power of habit, the book that we talked about 2
2
or 3
weeks
weeks
ago?
ago. There was a part of it that was talking about like there's a piece of your brain towards your brain stem that is able to recall information that your memory doesn't really recall. And they talked about, for the example, to retell a story, the guy that had memory loss for 30 years but could still up in his house and find food even though he didn't know where he lived or where the kitchen was.
Yeah.
So to me, that like kind of ties into this latent learning thing where it's just like the subconscious process. That we talk about this all the time, Tim. I think it's literally probably 80% of it is to create the subconscious process that calls back later so that it's not, to use the Google definition, not immediately observable, but it occurs without obvious reinforcement. So you're just doing it over and over and over again. You following me? Am I making sense?
Yeah. No, that's making sense. I mean, that's basically what we talked about in the power of habit, right? Is that we're trying to
Yeah.
create
Not sure how this.
we're trying to create those well, he's talking about in the terms of dogs, like dogs do that. Like this is just how animals learn, right? And we're an animal, so
Well, I'm taking it as to learn like the dog knows where to go next because the handler's foot lands in a certain way and pushes off in a certain way or something. Like they're literally just watching hands and feet for like cues.
yeah.
And he's asking, how does that play into driving?
Oh, it could cue into have you ever been racing somebody? This more applies to wheel, and you know exactly what that car in front of you, like where they're going to end up, like the instant that their car's behavior changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like
think it's
you can tell at the brake marker if they're going to overshoot the corner most of the time.
exactly like just and even the way they got on the brakes, like or the wiggle their car has or whatever, you know exactly where that car is going to end up. And I
Yep.
think that's that repetition and just like that understanding the ebb and flow of it and what normally happens. I was just talking to somebody that I was coaching on Monday about not looking at the cars when because uh, this individual has a habit when they start getting close to people, they'll make mistakes because their eyes start lingering on the car in front of them rather than still putting their eyes on the references that are allowing them to set those lap times that's making it where they are getting closer to that car, right? So the the habit that we needed to break was that looking at the cars. And if the car ever did anything weird, your eyes would just automatically look at him because it happened out of the ordinary. And you don't have to think about that because if that car like has a little steps out a little bit or misses an apex or whatever, and it's going to impact you, now your eyes will like spend the necessary time on that car to understand where it's going and what it's doing. And you actually don't even have to, you don't have to look at the car at all because the moment that car does something weird, the processes in your brain will just notice that it did something out of the ordinary, and now you can pay attention to it. But if you if if you have no experience driving around cars on a racetrack, I don't think that would be as automatic. But I think it's pretty I think it's a pretty learnable skill like over time with repetition, driving around other cars. You'll kind of understand what they should look like on track.
Yeah, I agree with that in the sense of like following somebody at 10/10 through corners. That's a skill that's fully learnable and you can learn the patterns of what people do. But the thing I was thinking about as you were talking is actually just driving on the highway when the car's brake lights in front of you
Mhm.
come on.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice when the 5th car in front of you did it or when the 4th or the 3rd or the 2nd or the 1st? And the difference in somebody who's not used to paying attention to the bigger picture possibilities of what you can pay attention to when you're driving. I thought of this because I scared my mom this weekend when she visited. we we were going somewhere and brake lights came on and I reacted. Didn't react because I didn't need to, and she still got the little like passenger moment.
Yeah.
That's not a perfect example, but for me, it falls in that category of like this is routine behavior because I saw way up there something's happening. I don't need to react to it now. I understand what kind of potentials I have to play with, and not potentials, but options I have to play with, and then obviously the learned skill of following other cars, or even learning like when you're on your own, realizing when things could go wrong early, so that you like, oh, I'm behind here. I need to make sure that I adjust and backside this
Yeah.
important cone on an autocross course or something.
Yeah.
That this is another way. Apparently, we've been talking about latent learning this entire time. It had a name, and we were calling it mental bandwidth and exe files and all this other stuff.
Want to do another one from
Yep.
oh, did we answer this one from oh yeah, that was from 2024. I'm going to the top. Okay. Hold on, I'm cleaning this up for a little bit. All right. David Bess writes in, I know this is a dangerous can of worms to open, but I have a PAX related question. Should we continue,
Uh
Tom?
oh. Autocross nerd alert. Autocross nerd alert. Autocross nerd alert.
uh, based based on how PAX is balanced currently, what are some of the best and worst rated cars in terms of PAX working as intended? How would you rank an
What? Oh, I think I
STS
might be.
Miata? I know the system is flawed, but my buddy and I have been curious about how representative our PAX times actually are of our ability. This is an impossible question to answer. For
Yeah, I don't know how to answer
context,
this question.
PAX is like this theoretical driver performance uh, multiplier that goes on somebody's times to whatever class they're in, and it tries to even out all the different classes to the time, so you kind of understand where you fell relative to like the whole event. And the reason why I
Yep.
say it's an impossible question to answer is because every single autocross course is different unless it's day 1 Bristol of 2023. That's a throwback.
That was scandalous. That was a big throwback. Hang on, I gotta read this question to make sure I can confirm that I don't know how to answer it.
Okay. I'll keep talking about it. So, because every course is different, then how like the packs, like some cars, like for example, David, your STS and a Miata. If you have a single dig on that course, you are impacted on packs more severely than a car with like a lot of power, right? If there's a bunch of transitional stuff with like tight thread the needle elements, now you have an advantage relative to packs compared to like a Cam C like 700 horsepower like Thunder machine that's like super wide and has flares because it's they lose more time relative to what their theoretical performance is just based on the course. I think for what PAX is, uh, I think it's actually amazing that it's as close as it is. And now obviously there's some flaws in it. Like the more prepared classes are harder to judge what the theoretical performance is because there's more that people can do to the cars. That so like each year over year those cars can get faster and faster and faster. Well, how is somebody supposed to predict like the actual speed that those cars can go? Because as people develop and like spend money on their cars, right? It's just impossible to
Well, it
do that.
uses no, I think it's so close because it uses historical data to calculate how the classes typically perform relative to each other, and then it applies that factor to your time at the event. So I kind of disagree with what you're saying because in theory, historical data should support that even though there's a dig on this course, your Miata should be taken care of because you're factoring out the performance of the car. He's basically saying how fair is my PAX number, and I would say the winning driver from last year's Nationals looks like they finished 127th out of. Oh, this is wrong. That's Masters. I'm trying to do a little like because I used to do I'm a pretty firm believer in packs, and I used to do a lot of these kind of calculations for myself so I could feel feel out how I was doing overall as a driver. Here it is. So I would look and say like, oh, if the top driver in my class last year at nationals finished 200th, like I shouldn't be winning packs at local events. Probably it's probably because it got a big adjustment, or it got some sort of like new tire rule, or there's like some reason that it's not historically accurate. Last year, the top driver finished in 12th overall at nationals out of over 1,000 drivers. So I would say an STS pack seems to be pretty fair, if not a little bit strong. So you should be able to, if your car's fully prepped and the course isn't like a complete disregard of what autocross should be, your STS car should be pretty capable on packs. That's the like
Yeah.
process I used to go through in my head in like 2010. That
And
seem
then
fair?
yeah, I was just talking about how like the ways that PAX can be impacted for like its overall fairness. I don't think it's completely fair course to course. Like for instance,
I agree.
for instance, at Charlotte 3 weeks ago, we were on the limiter a lot at 56, 57 miles an hour, but it wasn't really worth it to go to third. It was all like transitional stuff. The shift would have messied it up, right? I got beat. It was a very well driven run by the driver. I don't want to take anything away from him, but I got beat by Miata that has a slightly taller gear. So through those sections, which we probably carry around the same speeds, I was in a GR86, they were in a Miata, uh, about the same size tires relative to the weight or whatever. We would be going through that element about the same speed, but I was gear limited. They weren't. That's a slight advantage per PAX for them because PAX isn't going to be able to calculate in like that if the course is predominantly like calling out this one weakness of your car, like the best car for that class compared to another class, then I think you can take that into account to like, okay, how did I do this event? How did I drive? Right?
Yeah. So you just gave a pretty advanced summary of the reasons that you took your knowledge and applied to like, okay, I don't need to care about packs this much at this event because I know this, and this, and it's like data supported. His question struck me more as like, where does this car rank, or like where does this class rank? So maybe your analysis will help him learn how to do his own analysis for if he goes to some event. Whereas Miata's like, yeah, but this.
If
He can kind of like feel like he's doing a better analyzed version of a debrief for like where PAX landed and where his results were and stuff.
yeah, like think about like what your car is good at relative to the other cars that you're around in PAX and think about, well, what elements of the course would have benefited that class more than others? Like if it's a runway, if it's just a runway transition course, the whole thing, then the STS Miata should do great, especially if it's very speed maintenance, right?
Yeah, but I won PAX in a Mustang at a course like that last year, so I think you're paying attention to too close of details.
The gearing,
You're thinking too detailed day to day, event to event, whereas I think the task is learning how to analyze it from the bigger
I would
like
argue
scope of
last year,
autocross.
Tom, that F Street was kind of soft.
It was very soft.
Yeah. Okay. Glad we figured that out.
Well, it wasn't very soft because I lost nationals on some pretty good runs and I got destroyed. So there's some softer ones than that, but F Street was very soft
There's some softer
for tighter,
ones.
small courses. Are you kidding me? Steve prepared in DSP? Are you kidding me? We're gonna fight about that right now?
No, no, I'm not. I'm on that train. See, this is why it was a dangerous question.
All right, should we stop autocross nerding for a moment?
Yeah.
Road course people, wake up.
Yeah.
Did that
Okay.
come through? My
Yeah,
clap?
it did. Well, no, it didn't. Okay,
Okay.
ready? You're doing the next
Yep.
one?
Oh, then I'm not ready. I thought you asked me if I was ready and now.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
We have a lot of autocross questions. Maybe we can't move off that.
Stay tuned, everyone. We can answer this question from Ross.
Yeah, go for it. I haven't found it.
Tom and DJ, is there a way you're able to determine analytically whether a long 180-degree sweeper is faster to be taken as a late apex, double apex, or just holding the inside? Is there a radius, elevation change, or curbing consideration that you make in the process, or do you find the line for these types of corners varies by car or drivetrain layout? Or if it depends on the length of the straightaway before and after the corner. Some examples of these types of corners is turn 10 at Spa. I think that's that super long left hander. Uh, the toilet bowl at NCM, keyhole at Mid Ohio Carousel, at Road America, turn 4 at AMP. And then the question finishes up. It goes, I currently am only able to determine the best line by watching track guides via YouTube in combination with trial and error on racing sims. I'm curious to know whether you have your own theories about finding the optimal line on these types of corners in events like time trials with limited track time outside of a YouTube consultation.
That's a great question.
That is a good question. I think there's
All right, so to summarize, how do you figure out how to drive long carousels?
like tricky
Um,
corners where you can't just carry the weight on the nose and then leave the corner, right?
yep. To me, the first thing is what comes after it,
Yeah.
even though that's the last thing that happens. What comes next? That'll determine what kind of exit you need. To use some of your examples, we had an example from NCM versus the carousel at Mid Ohio versus the carousel at Road America. Let's use that. The sinkhole at NCM goes into another. Both carousels there are almost 360 degrees, but they both lead into slow things again. They one leads into the next, the other one leads into like a slow set of S's where you can build speed through them, which means there's no reason to set them up so you drive them like a skid pad. You literally like park the car on the inside, cut the distance on the way in, park it on the inside. You can kind of play with the shape to like soften the exit just a little bit,
Hmm.
meaning set up just slightly. But in general, you're planning for your exit and are driving accordingly versus like the carousel at Road America, you're coming onto like a super long straightaway. So you want to be on throttle as early as possible and you have to make a bunch of decisions after that. So for me, what comes next is the first question.
But I think the turn 18, so the toilet bowl. I've never heard it called. I've heard it called sinkhole, but never toilet bowl. But maybe that's. Have you heard it?
Right?
Have you
It's
heard
close.
it?
Uh, Not regularly, but it makes sense.
Okay. I mean, I know what corner he's talking about, so I guess it works. But
Yeah.
that specific corner, I feel like you can almost keep. Excuse me. You can almost keep the weight on the nose until it's time to leave the corner because you have that hill to throw the car into. So if the
What about
corner,
the one at the top?
what do you mean?
The right hander at the top before the. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, are we talking about the same corner? I was talking about the long left at the bottom of the sinkhole. You're talking about the
I know
right-hander?
you were. I'm talking about both of them
Mm.
because I drive them the same.
I I kinda I can carry the weight on the nose to the point where I leave that corner. So to me, that's the determining factor. Is that like, can I carry the weight on the nose into the corner long enough for me to be able to get on power and actually leave the corner? Then I drive whatever shape allows me to do that. But there are
Which
corners.
basically means driving it in harder and harder and harder until the weight carries on the nose all the way to the point that you're asking for it.
I don't wanna say harder, 'cause maybe it's like a softer break just to leave some.
Yeah,
Yeah. But, like, it's not like I'm braking later, I'm just braking lighter or maybe turning in later with a lighter brake, or I'm adjusting the shape of the corner to allow me to
yeah,
have weight on the nose as far into the corner as possible. And if I can get that
right.
weight on the nose to the exit point, uh, then whatever shape I need to do that is optimal in my mind. So
100%.
so NCM, the left-hander, it always feels like I just run out of just a little bit of steam right as I would like right as before I leave the corner. So and maybe there's a way, like maybe if like if you had full reign of car setup and I don't know, maybe there's a way to carry the weight like completely on, but I do feel like you kind of need to like hang out for a little bit before you can actually leave the corner every single time on the left-hander going up the hill. Um, to me, I'm still trying to carry the weight on the nose as far into the corner as possible, and depending on what I need to do on the throttle, that kind of dictates like how far away from the inside I am. If it's like
Yep.
on throttle for a little bit and then you can like dig out and the rear would appreciate the weight being on it in general, then I'm right on the grass, right? So that's typically kind of what happens for NCM. I would say it's the same for Road America too. Now that I'm thinking about it, you kind of have your like right side tires, so it's a long right hand corner carousel at Road America, and it goes on camber, off camber, and then on camber again. So that kind of plays with the shape that you're drawing of the corner as well. But to your point, Tom, you really are just trying to maximize the exit there. So you want to be on the very inside of the track when you're getting in throttle. Um, and it doesn't
Yeah, I think an
really,
important part to point out from everything you just said is a lot of times carousels are not outside, inside, outside like traditional corners. A lot of times you're pulling the entry in and shallowing it up a lot
yeah,
to keep the nose with some weight on it.
yeah,
So, for example, at Road America, now that we switched to that, you don't like drive the outside of the carousel halfway through the corner down to the apex and then like pick up you would get a really good exit, but you get a freaking terrible entry.
exactly. Yeah,
You
yeah.
actually like turn it way before the bridge and you drive it in there on the left front, like until it starts to understeer,
Hmm.
and then you lift and keep it just there with kind of wherever you end up, but mostly tight to the track. So all that to say, when you're doing carousels, a lot of times they're way more diamond shaped in the line that the car travels because you're shallowing the entry to keep the weight on the nose so that it does the pivot just at the right point that you get the exit you want, having already considered the exit. And then the last part for me is elevation, which you've mentioned, like Road America, knowing that it's going to go a little bit off camber. And then as soon as it starts to go on camber, that's when in my mind, okay, the exit has started. This is the critical spot.
Yeah. And obviously you figure out like what the shape of it would be through like trial and error. You shouldn't really need that many runs through it to really figure out like what the references are for like when like for the optimal shape of the corner. I think if you go in with the idea of carrying the weight on the nose as far into the corner as possible, and then you make a little adjustments for that, and then you make little adjustments after that. So that's the entry. You figured out the entry, and then you make little adjustments after that for ideally like how to be as efficient as possible with the weight and where it ends up on the car. Uh, then to maximize your radius on exit, assuming it's leading onto a straightaway. If it's not leading onto a straightaway, then you're maximizing whatever you're positioning on exit to maximize whatever's next, right?
Minimizing distance traveled.
Yeah,
That's where I think slow carousels turn into skid pads.
yeah. But so you talked about turning it into a diamond. I think sometimes people exaggerate that. Like they'll go all the way out to the edge of the track or wherever, and I don't
Well,
necessarily. It's like sometimes it's just like a half a car width away from the inside of the track.
the people who have that problem are driving the line instead of the weight. So
Yes.
when you're talking about the shape of the corner, there's an implied level of weight transfer and weight carried and momentum to the line that the car is traveling. The people who exaggerate the diamonds are driving the line that they've seen without maximizing the weight. So they exaggerate it and it ends up being like the car's not maximized because I
Yes.
needed to drive this as a quote unquote diamond.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
When
yeah.
really it's like the weight trajectory should go like nose and then it will kind of like diamond in the middle on the G circle almost and then carry off, right? It'll be like football shaped on
Y
the G meter
yeah,
and on the
yeah.
line instead of just one or the other.
So, okay, to sum
Did
up
I say that
this
right?
well, so let's
Would
think
a
of
G meter? No, it wouldn't. It would go
it would wrap around the car, but you think about it like for Road America, we'll just, like, play through, like, where the dot would be on the j friction circle, right? So it would be on the left side near the door as you're, like, driving the car in, right? And then as the left front tire starts to scrub across the surface, you would lift or even just like a dab of a little brake. That would shift the weight forward. It would kind of like leave from the door and go up like toward the fender. And then that weight would give the front a little extra grip. And then you're also slowing down. So then the radius is going to tighten down. And as it tightens down, if you carried the nose in far enough, as you tighten it down, it will start to send you back to the inside of the track. And if you got the shape of the corner right, when you get on throttle, it will then take that weight away from the front because now you're on throttle, so you're accelerating. It's going to shove it to the back. So now your radius and you're increasing in speed. So now your radius is going to increase. Ideally, we use the maximum radius that was possible and the weight was on average in the front of the car through the most duration of the corner. So if we maximize the radius on exit and on average the weight was toward the front of the car for like the whole entry, then that's going to be like an optimal corner.
I didn't entirely follow most of that, but I agree.
Okay. I feel like I actually explained that pretty well. If I lost
I
everyone in
will
the chat,
no,
just let me know.
this happens every time. When I go back and listen to the episodes, the parts that didn't make sense will make sense the second time.
Okay, well then that gives me hope.
I think I'm a bad listener, maybe.
Well, you're also like scanning through the next questions and stuff like that. We don't
A little
necessarily
bit
have to
here
pay
and there, yeah.
attention to each other, Tom.
I was trying to figure out if a carousel would draw a good football like shape on a G circle, but I think it wouldn't. It would do like the opposite almost. It was a bad analogy, but I think you guys know what I meant.
I think like a long carousel, like the weight never goes on the nose, right? So it could be like it could be almost like a football, just because like it's not a full circle. It's not a full circle because the weight never goes on the nose because you're never like maximizing the amount you're slowing down. The weight is always kind of hanging out on the outside door, fender, rear quarter, right? Like that's where the weight is like hanging out, and you're manipulating where the weight is, where in the corner to try to maximize what part of the car has the most amount of grip. So you spend the least time in the corner and get the maximum exit speed.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a good question, Ross. I'm trying to think if there's a corner where you kind of just SOL, because I feel like most carousels you can carry the weight on the nose to the point where you actually get to leave the corner at least at some point where it's not like super awkward. I'm trying to think of a corner where you're like just like, well,
Yeah, good question.
now we're here, and like hopefully the balance of the car is good because there's nothing I can do about like manipulating the weight to be in my favor.
Me, I kind of think turn 18 at NCM, which is the right hander at the top of the sinkhole, is like that a little bit.
It's only a little bit though. That's what I'm saying. Like there's a little awkwardness where like cuz you kind of carry the front end in and you can't like really step into throttle. You kind of have to like wait a second and then you can go, but if you keep like the weight on the nose, then your angle into the corner is a little wrong. So you kind of have to like you like have to purposely like fluff. If you've heard us talk about like fluffing a corner before, just to like extend the radius out a little bit so you have the proper angle on the entry. So like you didn't get to optimize the weight on the front of the car, and you couldn't leave the corner like with purpose because you had to extend the radius a little bit. You had to like push it out a little bit so you had the proper angle. Unless for some reason you can baja over that inside curb, but I haven't driven a trophy truck at NCM, so I don't know. Not yet.
I'm even thinking of like silly fantasy tracks that have like, Gran Turismo original tracks have like a full 360 in them. And you're doing like, it might change some banking or something, or it's like a full off ramp. There's a couple of those.
Yeah.
And even those you can manipulate the entry and you might turn it into a couple of different, like when the corner's that long,
Yeah.
you just start to, like you said, you like recreate the scenario again by either fluffing or, kind of speeding up again and then repeating the weight transfer multiple times. But even then there's usually a way that you can like drive it in.
Well,
Oh, what about like have you ever driven, this is a crazy example, but Riverside, the old road course that's not there anymore, it ended with a giant banked turn.
but that was banked.
But it's still like you kind of had to like get into this like, oh, it's just purgatory now.
But could you drive it
We're
in?
just out here using not real world examples.
Well, or at
You
least
couldn't really
examples.
drive it in, no, because it wasn't that banked. So like you
Yeah,
drove it
yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit, but then it would still sort of like it was always a little bit awkward to me
Yeah.
in a simulator with all my millions of
Okay. How
laps.
about we just take it to the extreme and it's a skid pad? You just
Well, the
drive the
skid pad
inside.
is shortest distance all the way around.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're ever stuck in purgatory, if you ever come across a theoretical corner that we can't figure out on the podcast right now, and you actually are stuck in purgatory, and there's no other way to manipulate the weight to maximize where the grip of the car is, distance. There you go.
Yep. I struggle with distance in carousels. I tend to cut too much distance. And I
S-
have to pay attention to other people like, oh, they opened that up just a little bit there or something.
Yeah, I could
Have you
I
ever
could
struggled with
see.
that?
Mm, I think when I first went to Road America, I think Katil was like, because I was trying to diamond it too much. I was driving it in too hard, and then I was kind of having to park it to get like back to the inside to actually leave. And the amount I had to park it to get back to the inside was actually impacting my exit speed. So like I just went too far to the like the other extreme. And Katia was like, just keep your tires on the right side and just drive it. And I didn't just do that, but I was attempting to do that. And because the track goes off camber and then camber again, I kind of ended up creating the correct shape of the corner at that point with like the weight manipulated properly. So like
Right.
me trying to do something like that's what I was trying to do, but I was like overdoing it, right? So, and I didn't realize I was overdoing it until like people were going faster than me. Guys, that's why wheel to wheel
Yeah.
racing is like so great for like really figuring out the stuff with your driving because you get like that absolutely instantaneous feedback for what you're doing well and what you're not doing well.
Right. Yeah, I guess I maybe autocrossed a little too intensely before I got to road course stuff because I was so focused on cutting distance.
Yeah.
Especially by towards the end of my autocross career, I was literally driving like power cars with lots of grip, and you're just driving the shortest distance around autocross course. Most events, let's say, in like 2013.
Yeah.
So then I got my little Honda Fit, and I was like, I'm gonna cut all the distance out of Mid Ohio, and I was 2 seconds off pace.
You're like, but they're driving so much more distance than me.
Yeah, yeah. And then all of a sudden, they're 5 car lengths ahead of me down the back straight.
Yeah.
Shit.
But yeah, I like that question, Ross. I can't think of the theoretical like stuck in purgatory forever corner though, because
You can always play with it. I think you can always manipulate it somehow.
somehow, unless like the corner changed shape like in the middle of it, because I think that's kind of what happens at NCM, but the corner's not big enough. But then even then, like you can like if the corner was big enough, then you could charge it, get out to the edge of the racetrack, and then bend it back in, right?
I mean, that's how I feel. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's
Oh.
always a way to play with it. Our guest is here, but I think it would be unfair for this particular guest that we will remain keep secret unless you're watching the video, then you totally know who it is. Just so they have more than 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
And to be fair, we gave him about 20 minutes notice to get on the podcast.
Yeah,
We didn't clarify
it
the
was
time
on
though.
me. It was on me. I'm like, whoa, why
No,
don't we
it's on
have
us.
this person on? Yeah,
You know what we should
and
do?
then we didn't
I feel
time
like we should
zone.
do huh?
We didn't time zone properly, and we were off by an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll get you next week. I think what we should do to end this week, we have a little bit of time left, right?
Yeah. What do you want to do?
I think we should do a 2025 goals update.
Oh,
You and me, bud, right here, right now.
all right, we're doing it. It's this is the quarterly update.
Is it the quarterly?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's quarterly update. All
The
right.
2-month update.
uh okay. Where we at? Where we at, Tom?
I'm gonna go through yours and you're gonna tell me and then you can flip.
Okay,
All right,
so
so this is in racing.
I actually edited my goals to have little brackets for like the checked off things that I've done. So like I've been keeping track of how many events I've done or like what my I rating is currently, stuff like that. So
Oh, you've been updating this. You have.
yeah,
All
I've
right,
been
cool.
updating it.
iRacing, you would like to have an 8K I rating by the end of this year. Where you at?
7.4. I think that's where I was at last time. It's been up
Okay,
and
so that
down. It's
one.
been up and down. It's just I'm averaged at 7.4 right now.
That's okay. What's that little trend? We listen and we don't judge. That's what this is. This is just an
Yeah, okay.
accountability. We drive 10 events before one lap in May.
I've done 5 so far, and I need to find an additional weekend of driving. I have 4 other weekends of driving planned, but I need to find 1 more, and then I'll hit my 10. So that's why I'm scrambling for a ride this weekend.
How many weekends are there total between now and then?
8?
13?
What? Am I
Oh,
doing
8.
math
Yeah,
wrong?
you're right. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so you got 4 events in 8 weekends. You got a little bit of wiggle room.
a little bit, yep. Uh, I have some conflicts in other weekends, so it's really like 7 weekends, 4 events. So or
That's still pretty
4,
good.
6 weekends, 4 events. I forget. I have some conflicts where I couldn't like book any driving that weekend.
Drive 7 events between July 12th, that will come later. Make
Yep.
formal announcement of my coaching services by February 24th.
I failed.
Oh, no.
I didn't do that one yet. I've just been
Can we
so busy.
help?
Guys, well, I wasn't planning on getting a new job. So
Oh, true.
that kinda, like, threw a
Yeah.
wrench in all of that, so I just need to get, like, situated with the new job. There's, like, so much to learn and anybody who started a new job, you just know how exhausted you are at the end of the day because 'cause you're just taking in, like, all this new information all the time. I I think, um, that's an excuse a little bit. It's a little bit of an excuse. Uh, so you know what? I'm gonna edit this. I like this quarterly update, Tom. We're gonna do, we're gonna do after one lap, so mid-May. So we'll do May 18th. I don't know if that's a Monday or a whatever. We're doing May 18th now. I like the update because I get to we're gonna check in on it. I like that, Tom. Thank you for this.
There you go. All right, Christine's were long goals, but your goals with Christine were to be able to mount to hike Mount Ida. You guys have been hiking your little butts off, so I think you're doing pretty good on that one.
We've had a little bit of a reprieve just from saying goodbye to Kitty, so we need to get back out there. I think we're planning on hiking this weekend again. So we did some long hikes. I don't remember when that fell in with the goals thing, but we did it was like a 10.8 ish mile um uh hike, and it was actually pretty challenging terrain. And then we've done some like higher elevation stuff in like the Appalachian area. So
Mhm.
we're preparing for it. It's kind of working. Scuba dive with her. I don't know when that's gonna happen because me and Christine are both so busy right now. I don't know when we would make time for that. That would probably be like a late summer thing. And then read
Yep.
4 books with her. Uh, I'm like a third of the way through one of the books, so I really need to kind of step it up a little bit. Well,
All
we're a
right, no, that's
quarter of
pretty
a way
solid.
through the year though, so
No, we're not. Yeah, we are, I guess, a little
yeah.
bit. So you need to make sure that one of these events you go to in the next 3 weeks, you're not driving and you can read.
Or I listen to it really. I just need to listen to it. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah, I forgot you don't read the
right
book.
now,
Okay.
yeah, right now it's Three Body Problem, and it's kind of a little bit of a dense book, and it's a little hard to listen to and like be driving down the road when you're kind of tired. Um, so yeah, I don't know what book we're gonna read after this. Christine's already done with it, so I've kind of failed already in the task. Is she's already done with the book, and I'm still like trying to get through it. She actually didn't like the book, which is making it even harder for me to read.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's not good. Just don't
maybe we just
maybe
give
have her
up on
pick you
that
a new
one,
one.
and we go on to the next one, and I'll mark
Yeah.
that as like a point 0.5 or whatever. So,
Yep, and then on the podcast, you wanted to do mini episodes where we do listener questions, have them come out predictably.
yep, we haven't
That
done
one's
that.
the long term for us. Nope.
Yeah,
Figure out an evolution to the video that is more than just DJ captures the screen on Discord.
as if you're watching the video, you still see exactly what we're doing.
Yep. Long term goal. Have a meeting once a month to brainstorm merch ideas. We did this.
We did. Oh, I have to. Okay, we've only done it like once though.
We did it for February by doing the new piece of merch that I will be posting as soon as we're done here, which is a logo that says "I raging" and it's Max Verstappen kicking a sim rig.
But
And we designed it live on the air after the podcast, and we had a blast.
you can't
And
tell
then
it's Max
host sim racing
Verstappen. It's
events that have
just
population during the summer. Sorry, I keep talking because I can't hear you. What?
it doesn't look like Max Verstappen if you're worried about like why do I want to buy a Max Verstappen shirt. It just looks like somebody in a
Oh
driver's
yeah,
suit. Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. You should go check it out. It's fun. When is it going live, Tom?
It's already live. I just forgot to post it.
Oh, it's out. Go buy
It's
it.
there. Go buy it. Okay, and then my motor. Oh, it's your turn. Oh, I'm in the hot seat now.
Okay. Tom, try a new form of motorsports by June. You got anything on the horizon?
I have. Oh, I got my wrong window up. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Calendar. I have. When are they? Oh, I didn't put them on my calendar. I have 2 hill climbs I got dates for. One's in Kentucky and one's in, I think, Tennessee.
Ooh, I feel like
I wrote them
I
down and
feel
now I'm
like a
trying to
hill
figure out
climb.
one of them stone.
I feel like a hill
Doesn't matter.
climb
I found
event
2 of
is
them.
like
One's in April, one's in May.
I feel like a hill climb event is like your spirit animal. Why can't you hear me? Where's your headphones?
It's not that I can't hear you because I don't have headphones. It's that when we talk over each other, your audio cuts out and I just keep talking because I can't hear that you're speaking.
Oh, interesting.
It's a
Okay.
Discord clipping thing.
Weird.
Okay, I do have 2 events that are likely, in hill climbs in April and May, so that would count.
Okay, cool. And then Ray's driving detail in Ola testing. What does Ray's driving detail mean?
Said I
Oh,
wanted to have 3 laps within less than a half second of variance. Those
yeah,
events
yeah.
haven't happened yet, so that's fine.
Okay. Mosport and Ozarks, you wanted to go to those racetracks?
Okay, I had a quote from Mosport, and it wasn't that expensive, but I don't think I'm gonna rent it this year, and I have some dates in August, I think, at Mosport from our friend Ian and from one other friend, from WRL that maybe I'll go up.
Okay. What
So
about
these are in the
Ozarks?
future, but I do have them on my radar.
Okay, what about Ozarks?
Ozarks, I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I haven't planned for Ozarks yet.
Okay. And then um what about the Janetta and WRL? That was one of your goals?
Unlikely.
Okay.
So that might be a fail.
Okay. Uh and then travel or work internationally?
The only
Uh
progress I have on that is I'm getting my Irish citizenship as soon as my aunt gets her paperwork back. My cousin and I can supply or apply for ours because my grandfather came over here in the 40s, so I can become a citizen, which would get me EU uh, passport as well. So I'm feeling out the options to be able to work over there.
yeah, cool. That would be pretty legit.
There's
Volun
way more stuff than that, but that's yeah.
Yeah. Volunteer or work with animals, Tom? Did you
I'm
do
signed
it?
up to do I'm signed up to do training in April on 3 Tuesdays in April to be approved to do volunteering with the Humane Society in Delaware, Ohio.
That's gonna be cool.
Hopefully starting in May. I'm so excited.
That is exciting. Is that gonna be like a weekday thing for you?
I have no idea how it works.
Okay. We'll find out more in April, I guess.
Yep. All I know is you have to go through this training to be eligible to do volunteering.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna have to ask Christine what she had to do because she walked dogs for a little while, and she loved it.
This one's called it's called PAWS training, PAWS. It stands for something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Visit a shelter by next week's episode.
I did do that. I went to the other Humane Society and they said we only train new volunteers when we need them. So I put my name in for they contact you when they do a training, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I contacted this other one.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. What about your gym goal? You were aiming for 3 times a week.
Massive fail.
We
Massive
gotta.
fail. I don't know why this was such a stretch thing to put because I knew I didn't care then, I don't care now. But I need something to get me to care. So I'm glad we're still talking about it. I feel shame right now.
Well, I don't wanna shame you. I mean, just from that habit book, like we just have to find like a cue and a reward for you, right? Because then the routine will fit like somewhere in there. So
Right.
the cue, you could come up with a cue, like the way I would before I had a gym in my house. The way I would like the cue was I put my shoes on and I just got in the car. And if I got to that point, then I would probably get to the gym, right? So I don't know if that's exactly a cue or not, but basically it was like the baby steps to like go do the thing. So like you could come up with some
Yeah.
baby steps that like might help you get there. And then the reward can be I would always get a like a protein shake from like the gym itself, which was really expensive, but it was like that was my reward. And sometimes I would forego the reward. I'm like, I don't need it this time. But sometimes I'm like, you know what? I really struggled to get here today. I'm getting one of those fancy protein shakes from the gym.
Sure. Yeah, the first week we did this is from the week of January 15th. So 2 months ago, I did go that week. I went 3 times. Then the next week I went 1 and then I haven't been back.
It's been my goal when I started this new job to like slip in like some gym time before, and I did it the first week. Uh, and then I haven't done it since then. Though in my defense, there was a lot happening with Kitty. So I'm hoping you know what? Tomorrow I'm doing it. I'm gonna just get down there and do something. It doesn't even have to be that productive. I just need to get into the home gym and sweat a little bit. That's all I gotta do.
Pick, pick some things up and put them back down.
Yes, exactly. All right, so then we jump over to some podcast goals for Tom. Uh, one in person. Oh, one in person meet at a national autocross. Probably just nationals, right? That makes the most amount of sense.
Yeah, or a national tour, but we haven't had the chance to do that yet, so that's fine.
Yep. One in person meet at a racetrack. We haven't had a chance to do that. A Lizard Brains event trip. What? Remind me what this was again?
That was when I was considering. I was throwing out like, what if we just rented Mosport and had our friends come?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if there's like these like sim racing bars around. I wonder, like, maybe, like, next
Honestly,
winter or something, like, we could get, like, a meetup or something. Because quite a few listeners to this podcast, and I bet people would, like, travel out for, like, a Lizard Brain hangout.
I think it would just be fun to do it just at one of those arcades. It doesn't even have to be like a sim arcade.
Oh, it would
It
be
could just
kinda
be
fun.
a it could just be a game like a one of those with all the old games in it. That'd be super fun too.
Yeah, that would be
We're still
cool.
thinking about it. One guest per month. We had who'd we have last month? We did have somebody last month.
It was,
We had Sam Myers
Sam.
last month,
Yeah. Did we have anybody for
and
did we have anybody for February? I don't think we did.
oh, that's right, Sam was in January, wasn't he?
Yeah, so we have to have 2 guests this month to make up for it.
Does the book count? That was kind of a guest.
I don't think it was a guest, unless we had the author on.
All right, well, we failed on that. We're gonna get one for February.
Well, yeah, we're gonna do 2 this month. So we're gonna have a guest next week, hopefully, if our guest that was.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we'll have a guest next week, and then maybe the week after that, or the next week, and then we'll have one for April as well. We should probably just, in order for that goal to like actually happen, we should probably like preemptively kind of like plan out, like maybe like really far in advance. Like even if
we
we don't
should.
let that person know that we're gonna ask them in case like something comes up and we're like, oh shoot, we should have this person on, right? But we should
Yeah,
like kind
like
of
I saved Sam for like 6 months. I was like, "Oh, we need to have him on in January right before the
right
like
before,
Daytona
yeah,
race."
right before Daytona
Yeah.
24. So maybe just to make sure that that goal happens, we actually come up with like a little bit of a roadmap for it. So then it would be more likely to actually happen. Because right
Yep.
now, I think like me and Tom are pretty loose with like how we're figuring this out. And if we do it just purely like week to week, then I don't think it will happen. So our potential guest for tonight said that next week will be much easier because they'll be home early on Wednesday.
And he'll have a week's notice instead of an hour. And then the last goal was the same as yours with a monthly merch thing. So we're hey, what did we do? What did we do? I did a what was our grade for our goals? Our first catch up of 2025. You have 1, 2.
I not doing an actual like grading the rubric. I'm giving myself a B minus.
I'm giving myself a the C minus. Well, mine feels like a lot of like it'll be over the summer. So I guess I'll give myself a C for planning ahead so far.
Yeah, I haven't planned ahead to the events after July. Well, actually, I have a couple on my calendar. Tom, my calendar is almost like filled out, which is kind of cool.
For you.
Yeah,
I
that's
think that's motivating to look at.
that's a departure from last year. Yeah, because then you're trying to fill weekends. You're like, oh crap, there's an empty weekend here. Like, what do I find? I have two weekends that are empty in the next 2 weeks. So I don't know how many times we need to say in this podcast, but I'm trying to drive stuff. I'm desperate. I'm like scratching my neck over here. I look like Dave Chappelle.
This is probably the least you played iRacing in the last years too, right?
It really is. Honestly, the only I did a couple races for week 13 yesterday. But besides that, I don't think I've really done any races on my own for weeks, honestly. Anytime I've hopped on, it's just for coaching stuff. That's all the laps I've been doing in iRacing is for coaching. Oh, and the WDCR league. I've been doing that league every Monday. But besides that, that's really the only iRacing I've been doing. I really like doing the official races, so hopefully I find some time to do some official races. Maybe this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, so this weekend is you don't know yet, but hopefully driving something real. This weekend for me, I'm dog sitting Senna again while Eric is traveling.
That'll be fun.
I guess we got a pretty chill weekend. Maybe we can play some video games or something.
You wanna?
If neither of us get anywhere to go.
Yeah, yeah. What do you wanna? Oh, it's supposed to be raining all weekend. Because me and Christine are supposed to hike at some point this weekend. I was thinking maybe we bring Senna on a hike and you come with.
Ooh, that'd be fun if you wanted to come down. I don't wanna drive him in my car.
Okay. What about the Lexus?
I only don't wanna drive him in my car because last time I took a dog in my car, it puked.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, I
That's
guess
fair.
I could
No,
figure out how
that's
to get in
fair.
there.
That's fair. Obviously, like you this the dog can't like grab the door handle like your mom did when she was in the car with you. The only thing the dog can do is puke. So it makes sense,
Yeah,
honestly.
I don't feel like dealing with that. Well, cool. That
So
was a fun impromptu episode. I wanted to have fun today, and we had fun.
yay.
No thanks to our no good guest. Just kidding.
Oh, hold on. I
He's
gotta
still here,
complain
yeah, yeah.
about dentistry real quick. Before we
Are we
actually
gonna end on a DJ rant?
yeah, we're ending on a DJ rant. I don't have the music queued up, but I made the
Get
mistake.
locked in.
Yeah, I made the mistake of going to an Aspen Dental, which is like a corporate dentist place, not like a family like clinic or whatever. Because I was just like, I saw this study or this report or something where it was talking about the bacteria makeup of our mouths can lead like is an indicator of Alzheimer's, and people who have gingivitis have a much higher risk of Alzheimer's. And I was like, well, crap, I haven't been to the dentist in like 9 years. I don't even know if I have gingivitis. I'm not even sure what that is, but I'm going to go to the dentist. I got like this like spur of motivation to like actually go to the dentist, right? So I just Googled dentist near me and was like, cool, first result, bam, got it, signed up, appointment, get the cleaning in, cool, we're good. And then I showed up to the appointment and they take me for x-rays, they like show me the building for some reason, and then they like sit me down in a chair. I'm like, all right, they're gonna get to town. They're gonna get in there with the hooks and the needles and the things and the loud sucky noise things and like really get in there and clean up my mouth that hasn't been cleaned in 9 years or whatever. And they just kind of like shined a mirror and a light in my mouth and then like tried to sell me on a bunch of stuff afterwards. And I was like, are we doing the cleaning? And they go, oh no, the first visit's just an exam and x-rays. And I'm like, I signed up for a cleaning. I came here to get my teeth cleaned, not like to have you guys sell me stuff. And they like were trying to sell me this like thing that insurance like didn't even really cover. It was going to cost me like thousands of dollars and all this. And it was all bullshit, Tom. It was all bullshit because while I was waiting in like their little fancy like waiting room for them to like give me like part 2 of the sales pitch, I just called just like like a regular dentist cuz I did more research than 15 seconds this time around. And Christine actually she's the one that sent me. She's like just book a thing there. And so I'm actually like booking the dentist appointment to a different dentist while waiting for their sales pitch of this like stupid dentist that I was at and then had all the information. So they tried to sell me on all this stuff, and I'm like, no, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And I leave, and I'm like, oh, you know what? This might be a problem with insurance. So I called my insurance and was like trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out, like, okay, so they did a bunch of stuff. I'm sure they're going to charge my insurance company for the X-rays or whatever. And then I'm going to this other dentist. What, like, am I going to get a bill at some point because the insurance is going to like deny the claim because I went to like the dentist twice in 2 days, right? I could see something like that happening. So I called the dental insurance and was like, okay, this is what they did. I didn't ask for any of it. I went there for a cleaning and I didn't get a cleaning. It was like, what do we do? Um, and she said, okay, well, get the x-rays that you got taken at the other place and take them to the new place. And so I'm trying to call them. And every single time I follow the prompts on the phone, it just hangs up on me. And I'm like, what the hell? So I like hit different prompts and like to book an appointment, but I wasn't booking an appointment. So now I'm just talking to some lady at like corporate Aspen Dental to to she doesn't even work at that clinic. She's just like in some office somewhere. And I'm like, "Look, I'm trying to get a hold
I
of the
hate that.
doctor's office so I can just get my x-rays that I literally just looked at emailed to the clinic I'm going to tomorrow." And she asked me why I was going to the clinic tomorrow and I explained it to her and she goes, "Oh, that sounds awful." So I don't know if this was just like this like clinic all on its own or maybe this is like a company wide policy and she was just appeasing me by saying that sounded awful. But it from the links that Matt's posting in the chat right now, it seems like it's a company wide thing. Um But anyways, she's like, "I'm gonna try to call them, like, I'll like, it won't look like just a random phone number or whatever, like, I'll try to get." They just, like, turned their phones off because it was, like, the last half hour of the day or whatever. So, I'm still in my car. I was getting Taco Bell, yummy, um, and so I just turned the car around and drove back there and told them that they should turn their phones back on and demanded the X-rays. The lady behind the counter was very nice. She helped me out. She even printed them out because she said it might take longer than tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And uh, I finally had the X-rays from the place because I drove back there and saw them in person because they wouldn't answer their stupid phone. So the moral of the story is don't just click the first thing on Google because they probably paid the most amount of money to be the first thing on Google.
For sure. I also actually went to an Aspen Dental only once, but they like it was some sort of torture chamber. But they also tried to sell me on everything. I mean, they have that corporate private equity owned BS turned up to freaking 11, but the lady made me bleed and all like, oh my God, I hated it. So I only went back there once.
So the thing that they were trying to sell me on was this like deep clean of the gums or whatever. And the dentist I went to is like, no, you don't need that. Like we're you're good. Like we got that in a normal cleaning. Like you're fine. Everything's great. So if people are wondering, didn't go to the dentist for 9 years. I am so lucky. I have like two very small cavities, and that's it. And everything else is like 100% completely fine and okay. So I'm very lucky.
Did you?
But so from the
No,
Alzheimer's
okay.
things, I was digging into like mouth health a little bit more. And the health of your mouth actually impacts so much more of your body than just your mouth. Like it impacts so much more than just like your teeth. So it's actually really important to go get all that taken care of.
Digestion starts in your mouth. Famous saying.
Who said that?
Doctors, I don't know.
A
That's the
dentist.
thing.
A dentist racing an LMP3 car, poorly, I might add, said that.
Yes. Well,
So
good for you. Glad with your clean bill of health came out. Sorry you had to deal with Dr. Corporate
I
Dentist,
I
man.
don't go to a private equity dentist. What the hell was I even thinking?
Honestly, I don't I think basically anything outside of, like, maybe your groceries, maybe avoid some corporate anything. Like, if your
No,
health
seriously
is
though.
involved.
Honestly, I think that's the move. Like Christine's been trying to avoid Amazon, which I like totally I commend her for that. Like kudos to you, Christine, for avoiding Amazon. I still order stuff from Amazon. It's just too convenient. But like I think the more we can avoid just like big corpo taking over the world, like is probably the better, right?
Even if not philosophically, just they don't care if your service is fine. So just
Exactly.
avoid those things.
Yeah. So
Same reason I don't need Applebee's. Find a local place. Anyway, that was a good tangent to end on.
was it?
We got I don't know. How long have we been going?
Hour and
That was like
37 minutes. Oh, I cut into
oh,
the my
perfect.
I needed to set data. All right, we need to end this. We need to end this, Tom. You ready?
I am ready.
Okay.
Guys, remember always buckle your seatbelt, brush your teeth, and I love your hair and I hope you win. I couldn't think of a third one.